A 2025 Indonesian horror thriller, Dark Journey, is based on a real exorcism case from years past. Most terrifyingly, it seems to have summoned something related to the 12 apostles of Jesus. It begins with two girls visiting their father's grave late at night. They take out a pre-prepared, eerie doll. As they recite some secret incantations, the doll suddenly turns 180 degrees to face Kayla, one of the girls. Just then, the cemetery caretaker appears. Fearing discovery, they quickly leave with the doll. However, as Kayla and her friend talk in the car, they fail to notice a ghost-like figure appearing in the back seat. Back home, Kayla experiences a ghost wall phenomenon, feeling disoriented. Seeing her mother asleep on the sofa, she's slightly relieved and turns to go to her room upstairs. Suddenly, her mother's figure appears again. Thinking it's just her imagination, she rushes to her room, retrieves the eerie doll from the grave, and the next morning, throws it into the garbage bin outside. After she leaves, the doll seems to come to life. At school, Kayla's best friend, who was with her the night before, looks terrible and has a bruise on her arm. The friend dismisses it, saying she probably didn't sleep well. When Kayla returns home from school, she finds her mother with the neighbor. Upset, she goes straight to her room. Looking at a family photo on her bedside, she's startled to find the doll she threw away has returned. Terrified, she throws the doll back into the garbage bin. Moments later, lightning flashes across the sky, and that night, a torrential downpour begins. Amidst the thunder, the ghost returns, finding Kayla asleep. Her mother is awakened by Kayla's screams. When she runs to Kayla's room, she finds her daughter facing the wall, muttering something. After her mother's persistent calls, Kayla gradually wakes up. From that day on, Kayla undergoes a drastic change. Her body develops inexplicable bruises, her overall condition deteriorates, and she constantly hears voices telling her to die. True enough, the female ghost is always by her side. Upon closer inspection, it turns out it was a female teacher from the school. Returning to the classroom, she discovered her friend had vanished. It was revealed that the friend had been found by her mother hanging from the rafters earlier that morning. Consequently, the school board urgently summoned Kayla to the office for questioning. Eventually, Kayla recounted the events of that night, truthfully. As the two teachers were driving her to the cemetery, Kayla suddenly let out an eerie smile and began violently banging her head against the car window. The teachers then took her to the school's monastery. The old monk informed them that only a priest could help. At that moment, the priest was outside, assisting a boy with an exorcism. He was the only priest in the monastery capable of performing exorcisms, and his power was formidable against even the most powerful demons. After waking up, Kayla completely lost control of her body, engaging in self-harm during class as if she were insane. Not long after, Kayla's mother was also called to the school. As an exorcism required family consent, the old priest visited Kayla's home the next day. He brought all his exorcism tools and donned a purple stole, preparing to summon the demon from her body. However, after waiting for a long time, nothing happened. Undeterred, the old priest applied holy oil in the shape of a cross on Kayla's forehead. Instantly, there was a reaction. The lights in the room began to flicker. Realizing that force alone wouldn't subdue the demon, he pulled out holy water from his bag and splashed it on her, which provided a brief respite. However, as the exorcism was in progress, the mother, hearing Kayla's cries for help, rushed in, picked up the holy water on the floor, and handed it to Thomas, an assistant. Eventually, with the combined efforts of the three, they managed to drive the demon away. The next morning, Kayla's mother's boyfriend, upon hearing the news, dismissed it all as Kayla's deliberate act to drive him away from her mother. Faced with a choice between her boyfriend and her daughter, the mother naturally chose her family. Thus, her boyfriend left in disappointment. The mother, seeking solace, took Kayla to the cemetery to visit her deceased husband. Upon returning, to reassure Kayla, the mother removed the engagement ring her boyfriend had given her, unaware that the evil spirit had never left her daughter. It intercepted the old priest on his way home. Strangely, as soon as the priest approached Kayla, she collapsed. As the priest placed her back in the car, preparing to take her to the monastery, the evil spirit slowly revealed itself. The next morning, the old priest had not lost his life. Through the events of the previous night, he realized that the evil spirits within Kayla were not just one, but many. Under the combined attack of multiple demons, Kayla, in the cemetery, had attempted to summon the spirit of her deceased father, but instead attracted a disciple of Lucifer. This meant that the last remaining spirit within her was the most powerful. He confined Kayla's mother to the living room, using a method reminiscent of Jesus' bindings. Just as the mother and daughter were having a seemingly joyful time at home, Thomas arrived with the exorcism kit and used bells to temporarily suppress the evil spirits within her. When they went downstairs, they found no one there. Unbeknownst to them, the evil spirit had jumped into the swimming pool in the courtyard. The last evil spirit had completely taken control of Kayla's body. Although it seemed formidable, it was still no match for the sacred artifacts, and resorted to taking the form of Thomas's deceased wife to deceive him. While he was distracted, the evil spirit lifted him up with one hand, as if he were a small chicken. The old priest, lying in the hospital, seemed to sense this, and knelt before the crucifix, which miraculously enabled Thomas, miles away at Kayla's house, to stand up, grab the crucifix, and thrust it into the evil spirit's forehead. Thomas, having learned his lesson, kept his eyes closed throughout the process. Thus, the evil spirit was completely expelled, and the black liquid that had been forcibly injected into Kayla's body was all vomited out. It felt as if, had this not been based on a real Indonesian exorcism case, even with Indonesia's advanced special effects, they couldn't have filmed it so convincingly. Finally, Thomas inherited the old priest's position and became an exorcist.